A very important tool that you can utilize in your life is your imagination. Now you might be wondering, I've tried visualizing so much, but it has never worked. There's a very big difference between imagination and visualization. What imagination does is that it brings the future into your present. The reality that you're currently experiencing was actually created in your imagination. So 97% of the population are actually using their imagination unconsciously. I use the power of my imagination to bring my desired future into my current reality. Because your imagination is always active, whether you're conscious of it or not. Ask yourself, are you using it in your favor or against you? A very important tool that you can utilize in your life is your imagination. Now you might be wondering that I've tried visualizing so much, but it has never worked. I want you to understand that there is a very big difference between imagination and visualization. What imagination does is that it brings the future into your present. Now, I want you to understand that the reality that you're currently experiencing was actually created in your imagination, either consciously or unconsciously. So 97% of the population are actually using their imagination unconsciously. Like, let me just give you a very simple example. So, if you live in a traffic-prone city like I do, and if you want to leave your house at 5 p.m. to commute and go somewhere, what's the first thing that's going to come to your mind? Oh, but there's going to be traffic, right? So you've already created that in your imagination, but you'll be like, Shalini, but it's a fact. It's something that's been happening over the years. Why would I not think of it? Why would I not imagine it? Well, I want you to know that I have personally created very different experiences around the same places where I was living for years, but now because my imagination has changed, I have become conscious of how I imagine situations and circumstances. My experiences externally have actually changed. So I'll give you an example. So as I speak to you now, I do live in a traffic-prone city and in an area where there's very high traffic during rush hours like 5 p.m. as I said. So when I want to come out at 5 p.m., I always imagine that the side of the road where I am is always empty. And most of the time, that's exactly what happens. Is that a coincidence? No, because I use my imagination. So in the same way, you can use your imagination to create whatever it is that you desire. So let's talk about the difference between imagination and visualization. Now, visualization is more external. So what imagination does, it brings your future into your present. So as I said, your present is something called your three-dimensional experience, your 3D experience, what you're experiencing in your reality right now. But in your imagination, you are working with something called the fourth dimension, right? Or you can call it fourth dimension or fourth dimension, right? However you wish to call it. So I call it the 4D. So the 4D is the place where you get to create whatever it is that you desire. So with the power of your imagination, you eventually bring the 4D into your 3D, meaning the future that you desire, that you have imagined in your mind, comes into your physical reality. And this is exactly how I actually became a Proctor Gallagher consultant. It's one of the techniques that I used to use every single day in order to bring the dream of me becoming a consultant with Bob Proctor into my current reality. Remember, I was somebody who was working in the corporate world for over 15 years. I had no income stability, right? Now, I had jumped a lot of jobs. I had a lot of sabbaticals in between. So I had not saved enough money to invest to become a consultant with an institution like Bob Proctor's, because it's a world-renowned institution. Now, when I met him and I knew that this is something that I really, really want to do, I just made the decision. And with that decision, I started using the power of my imagination. And eventually, it was granted to me all for free. It was given to me as a scholarship. So how did that happen? It's because I used the power of my imagination to bring my desired future into my current reality. Now, when we talk about visualization, what most people do is they imagine that situation as external to them. Now, you've heard about people sitting, doing visualizations, or they imagine a future reality as like a screen external to them, or they engage in vision boards. Vision boards is something that's become very common, right? Because you just put a few photos on some sort of a cardboard and you look at the pictures on a daily basis. Yes, your subconscious mind actually does absorb those images, but guess what? It doesn't accept that idea as happening to you in the present tense. Now, that is the difference between visualization and imagination. Now, with imagination, what you basically need to do is you need to sit with yourself and put yourself in the scene of your wish fulfilled already, meaning your goal has already been accomplished. Now, the mistake that most people make is that they look at the goal accomplished as, for instance, if I want to earn maybe $30,000 a month, right? So you're sitting with yourself and you're imagining that you have $30,000 coming into your bank account daily. But the money in the bank does nothing for you unless you do something with it. Does money in the bank make you happy just being in the bank? Absolutely not. It's what you do with the money. So think about it. If you started earning $30,000 every month, right? What would you be doing with it, right? Would you have bought a new car? Would you have sponsored somebody? Would you have built a home for your parents? Would you have sent your kids to an international school, right? Would you have gone for a certain holiday? So what is that scene that comes in your mind when you think about having already earned the $30,000 every month, right? What would you do with the money? What does it do for you? Does it excite you? Does it satisfy you? Does it create relief in your system? How do you feel? So the feeling behind what it is that you do with the money is more important than just having money in the bank. Because right now I could be sitting with $10 million in my bank, but if it doesn't change my lifestyle, if it doesn't change anything for me in my life, is that really going to make a difference? Absolutely not. There is no point of having $10 million in your bank account if it's really not changing anything for you, right? So I want you to go a step ahead and really engage in your imagination, right? That what is it that your goal, once you accomplish your goal, what would it do for you? Even if your goal is that, yes, you want to go for a certain holiday. After you've gone on your holiday, how would you have felt? Like, how do you imagine yourself being with your family or your friends on that particular holiday, or with your spouse or your siblings, whoever it is, right? Are you excited? Are you having the time of your life? Are you fulfilled? Are you satisfied? Are you relieved? Right? Are you over the moon? Like, how do you exactly feel? So get engaged in that feeling that your goal is already accomplished. Sit with yourself, close your eyes, do this exercise at night right before you fall asleep, because this idea gets impressed into your subconscious mind, right? Now, your subconscious mind is most receptive at night, right before you fall asleep. So what you do is, when you're sitting right before you fall asleep, sit on your bed with yourself, disengage your five senses from your current reality, close your eyes, center yourself, take a few deep breaths, and create a scene in your mind that helps you realize that what does this look like now that my goal has already been achieved, right? Now that I'm earning the $30,000 every month, what am I doing with it? Are my friends happy? Are they congratulating me? Is my family excited because I'm taking them on vacations, or we are living in our new house? Or now that we are living in our new house, how is the family reacting? How are they interacting with each other? Are they happy? Are they excited? Are they in a celebratory mode? So see yourself in that scene. And I'm not asking you to create that scene externally. Once you create that scene, I want you to step into that scene. And I want you to understand that belief is very important. Now, the problem here is that people are very good at creating these scenes. That's not a problem. But the question is, do you believe that this is possible? So I want you to understand that your imagination literally helps you jump onto the frequency of what it is that you desire. So your 3D exists here and your 4D is here. So with your imagination, as your subconscious mind starts accepting the idea with the power of your belief, it automatically helps you jump onto the frequency of what it is that you desire. And over time, your subconscious mind will actually start suggesting to you ideas on how you can get closer to your goal. And this is exactly what happened to me when I wanted to become a Proctor Gallagher consultant. It connected me to individuals in a way I had never thought possible. Through those individuals, the institution actually decided to give me a scholarship and made me a consultant. They said that they wanted to give this to me without any investment from my end. Was that a coincidence? No, that was the power of my imagination. I was impressing myself with this idea daily. By the way, I was not even doing this at night. I was actually doing this during the day. So the most important thing is the feeling behind it, right? How do you feel about it? Because when what most of us do, we do some of these exercises at night or during the day, just for maybe the first 20 minutes or the last 20 minutes of the day. When we start walking around and going about our day, we forget this, right? So you've got to be in that feeling throughout the day. Because remember, your subconscious mind, through your feelings, through your emotions, is constantly listening to you. Haven't you heard yourself saying, when you criticize yourself, you'd be like, oh man, I made this mistake. I'm so stupid. How do you feel? Your subconscious mind is listening and it's going to bring this to your reality. But when we are told to celebrate ourselves, we'll shy away and be like, oh yeah, it was okay. It was okay. Yeah, thank you, thank you. You don't even want to take a compliment. So what are you telling your subconscious mind? That I'm not good enough, right? That's exactly the message that you're giving your subconscious mind. So be very attentive, right? How are you feeling throughout the day? How are you using your imagination? Because your imagination is always active, whether you're conscious of it or not. It's very simple. So usually when I come to do my recordings, I feel like, yes, I feel like maybe the studio may not be ready. So today I walked in and I saw that the studio was ready, but I was already using my imagination in the wrong way by assuming that the studio may not be ready for me, and today it was actually ready, right? So somewhere in my imagination, I must have created that image unconsciously that this is how the studio will look today, because I had asked for a white background, and here I walk in and I see it, right? So do you see how your imagination is always working? So ask yourself, are you using it in your favor or against you, right? And as I said, belief is very important. You must believe that you have the power to achieve whatever it is that you desire. And again, in all my other videos, I keep talking about the blueprint level. Now remember, until you don't work on yourself at the blueprint level, the belief system is also difficult to change. So you might be using your imagination, but because you don't hold the right energy ideas, all the right ideas in your energetic fields, they're not going to allow you to achieve whatever it is that you desire. So your imagination may not always work in your favor until you work on the blueprint level. I hope this video resonated with you. If it did, please do share it with your network, and please do get in touch with us so that we can help you on achieving your goal using your imagination. Remember, you are extremely powerful and the limit does not exist.